Hi, we're going to make a fun little treat holder today using the envelope punch board. These are really quick and easy to make and the perfect size to give a couple of fun treats to a friend. You can do any season with this depending on which paper and which embellishments that you choose to decorate your box. So let's go ahead and we'll get started. Show you one more here. So let's go ahead and make this fun little treat holder. So we're using the envelope punch board, and you want to make sure that you've got the scoring tool that comes included with that. So we'll pull that out, and you want to start with a 6" by 6" piece of designer series paper. For this particular project, I like to use two-sided papers because you actually can see the other paper on the inside. And you will have an option at the end where you can use the other paper. You can fold the flaps down if you want the inside paper to show from the outside as an accent. Depends on your project and what you're making. I have a 6" by 6" piece of designer series paper, and I'm going to place it in the envelope punch board. And I'm going to zoom in here so that you can see I am lined up with the 1 3/8 inch mark. And I'm going to back out a little bit. And so I'm going to start by punching. Now, I would recommend when you're doing this, if you have a pattern paper that has a very busy pattern on one side and a quieter pattern on the other, you might want to go with the more solid pattern up just to do your scoring marks. You can decide later which side you'd like to be on the outside of your box, but this is just going to make it easier for you to see where you need to punch and cut and score. And I'm going to go to the 1 3/8 mark, and I'll start by punching. And then I'm going to take my scoring tool that came with this, and I'm going to line up right here. Do you see on the outside edge of that opening, this side? It goes at an angle, the groove, and so you're just going to press it and then pull back. You can see where when we punched it made that scallop shape. And so now I'm going to slide over to the 4" mark. So I've got the far corner of my paper over at that 4" mark, and then I'm going to repeat by punching and scoring. And you can see how the groove goes at an angle, so that's the direction that you want to be scoring. So now I've got 2, and now I'm going to rotate my piece to the right. From now on, I am going to ignore this measurement. You do not want to look at the measurement from now on. From now on, we're going to use these score lines that we made to do all the rest of our scoring and punching. So you can see the little pointer right here. I'm going to line that pointer up with my score line. Again, I'm not paying any attention to this ruler at the top at this point. Now I'm just going to line up with that score line. I'm going to punch, and I'm going to score. Now I'm going to slide over. Again, I'm ignoring the ruler, and I'm going to line up with the next score line. I'm going to punch and score. And now I'm going to rotate to the right again. And again, I now have 2 scoring lines to line up with, so no ruler needed. I'm just going to line up my little pointer with the score line, punch, and as long as I just use that pointer and the score lines, I know it's going to perfectly mirror that first side that I did. And score, and I'm going to rotate again. And again, line up with the score line, punch, and score, slide, punch, and score. So at this point, you want your paper to look like this, and we're going to round some corners now. This has a built-in corner rounder at the top, so you just slide your paper in, punch down, and it's going to perfectly round that corner for you. You don't have to do this step, but it does give your box a little more of a finished appearance. I'm going to do some cutting on We've got a score line that starts at this wider piece and goes up and stops at an intersecting score line. That's the part I want to cut. I don't want to cut beyond where that line intersects. And then I'm also going to do this side. I'm not going to do any cutting on the skinny ends, it's just the wider end. And now I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. So now I've got them cut on both sides, and I can go ahead and do some folding on all my score lines. The next thing, before I do any more folding, I'm going to punch my little handle for my opening. So I'm using a 1-inch circle punch for that. And just so that I make sure I get it lined up in about the same spot on both sides, I punched out a 1-inch circle just from some scratch paper, and I have a temporary adhesive on the back. I'm going to stick that on, slide the punch in until I can't see the paper and I can only see white, and punch that out, and that's going to be lined up and punched right where I want it. Sometimes when you slide the punch in, you can no longer see if you're centered or not. So if you do it this way, you can get your punch out exactly where you want it. So I've got that little temporary circle on there, and slide this in, punch it out, and there we've got our two handles for our little container here. So we're going to just fold on all those score lines now. So I folded on all of the score lines, and I've decided that I want this pretty paisley pattern on the outside of my box, and then the other pattern on the inside. So to put this box together, you just need a very small amount of adhesive. I'm using glue dots. These work great for holding this project together. And so I'm just going to put a glue dot here, and a glue dot here. And I'm going to cross these pieces. Almost reminds me of a diaper fold. So I'm going to adhere that right on there. And you don't want too much adhesive on this, because you actually want this portion to be able to be free of the box enough to meet up with the back portion. So we're going to do the same on the other side. Again, just 2 glue dots. This one down. And now you can make a decision on these little pieces on the side. You can stick them down so that you've got that contrast on the outside of the box, or in which case I would want to put my glue dot here, or you can put the glue dot on this side and tuck them in if you don't want to have that contrast. It's up to you. On this box, I actually tucked them on the inside. The last thing you need to do is just embellish your box. You can use anything on the front, and then you do want some sort of closure. So you want to put your treat inside, and then you can tie it with ribbon like I did on all of these, or baker's twine like I did on the Halloween box. Or you can do a clip like I did on this one, a bow clip. Just anything that will hold your box closed so the treat stays inside. This is a really fun little treat holder, and I hope you give it a try. Have fun, and I can't wait to see your version.